celebrating 5 years on YouTube because we have to have something to talk about and celebrate as your live and interactive Sharks post-game show. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night, February 25th, 2019. The road trip is over. Good gosh almighty, the road trip is over. The Sharks go over on the road trip. They outshoot their opponents for the fifth straight game and lose. Hi. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks post-game show. To be a part of the show, you can chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on our YouTube chat, on the page or the app. And of course, follow us on the social where we live gift games, Twitter, Instagram. AJ does his pregame report. Of course, you're watching us on their YouTube channel, Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, all under Teal Town USA. And of course, for more Sharks content, visit tealtownusa.com. With me tonight, no, not me having a split personality, as the girlfriend would say, but a spiffy-looking Ian Reid.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be here. What are you going to say? They lost again. It's funny. I don't know how many more games. Like, I would be shocked. Like, I'm setting the over-under at 5 of the last 20. Well, I guess last 19 now. I'm setting the over-under to 5.
For wins?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. They got a difficult stretch to come right now. So, and just looking at the chat here, Cheryl's saying, "Too bad." Whoa, hello. Why is it up here? Yeah, it's better. Too bad I can't get my money back for the rest of the season. You and me both, Cheryl. That's for sure. Rob's saying we need lots of humor for the final month. Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Yes.
Hey, I can start. Remember when it was November and things were good, but also we were like, there was some serious hysteria around Radim Šimic's next contract. That's kind of hilarious in hindsight, isn't it?
Oh man. Oh goodness, we're already getting comments from the dressing room. Burns, it's tough scoring goals right now. We have to play almost a perfect game right now. Do the right things when you can.
I would settle for a good game from Burns right about now.
I would too. Even AO saying, "Yikes!" Sharks are just trying to weed out the bandwagoners. That's it.
I did get a haircut, and thank you for noticing.
Yes, he's looking all nice and spiffy. Phantom 0044. So, oh well, all right. Well, the road trip is over and done with.
It's over. Yep.
And the last stretch didn't start off too well. 26 seconds in, Burns already taking a hooking call that sets up a power play goal for Abe Kubel, his sixth from Van Riemsdyk and Niskanen, and I just did not like their positioning at all on that goal.
Well, here's the problem, right? Like, obviously, with the moves that have been made and injuries, whatnot, you've kind of had to cobble around. And Barclay Goodrow is what everyone says Melker Karlsson is. Like, I think Barclay Goodrow is a big part of that penalty kill. And I think it's a reason why he fetched, he fetched a first round pick. I mean, obviously a third had to go with him to make that a first round pick, but there's a reason why he was coveted by some teams. And I think, a big part of it is because Barclay Goodrow is the guy that everyone thinks Melker Karlsson is. This short-handed ace. Barclay Goodrow actually fits that role a lot more.
And that's why he went to Tampa Bay along with a third rounder to get a first round pick. And I don't know if you can call a 26-year-old a prospect, but...
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? And I'm not sure what to make of this guy. Like, this could be a guy who they give a year and slot in on the Barracuda. This could be a guy that they don't even qualify, right? Because um, Tampa had to move a contract to fit Barclay Goodrow in,
Right.
so they take a prospect back in return. Who knows? I mean, maybe they give him a look next year. They give him a qualifying offer and a 1 year deal, and they give him a look on the Barracuda next year. But I mean, at the point, like you said, you're getting up there in age 26. If you're not
Hmm.
cracking NHL time, you're probably not cracking NHL time. But
Right.
Barracuda could need players next year. We don't, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think they need PK. They need some PK help. They need some help in the Barracuda. Oh, we need so many things. So moving along, Joel Shellman apparently can only score against the Flyers. He gets his second of the season from Middleton and Heed to tie the game up. I thought, and I said this to you before the off the air, Middleton I thought was struggling a little bit once he got called up, but I think tonight was one of his better games.
Yeah, tonight Middleton played a better. I thought was one of the better games I've seen him play in the NHL. I thought the game that he played last game he was pretty atrocious in, and I thought when the Sharks sent future considerations, who is just constantly on the move. I don't marry this dude because like you're going to be constantly moving. But
Right.
future considerations goes for Brendan Davidson. I thought Brendan Davidson was kind of a and who knows? It could be, maybe Tim Heat will go back in the doghouse again. You never know.
Right.
Um, but like I thought Davidson might have been a pickup because of that game that Middleton played, but I thought, yeah, he had a pretty good game today.
Yeah. I thought so. Pinching down below, setting up Shellman for a nice goal. Sharks tying this game up. I thought they looked pretty good in that first period after Philly would take a hella dudes on the frozen pond. We love you, Shalina. Hope you're doing well. And then one of their new pickups, Grant from Anaheim, takes a slashing call at the 20-minute mark. I thought as they outshot the Flyers 15-8, I thought they felt pretty good outside that first minute and a half.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'd agree. I don't really have much to add to that. I concur.
Moving onward, you saw Hayes get his 20th from Lawton and Konechny. Uh, that line was phenomenal tonight for the Flyers.
Yeah.
But that one would get challenged. What did you think of that challenge? I was a little iffy on it in the first place.
Yeah, I thought if it got called back, like I tweeted, I think my tweet said something about it, like offside really shouldn't be this complicated. It should be a lot easier. I think that the blue line should just extend up to the ceiling, and if you're onside, you're onside. None of this. Oh well, he didn't drag his skate. Just ticky tacky nonsense like that. I was fine with the call. I could see why they challenged it, but I was
Right.
fine with the call. Like I really think offside really doesn't need to be as complicated as it is, and I'm fine with that one.
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
gonna lie.
I was a little iffy on challenging that, honestly, but you know, I could see why they did it, but I'm not buying what you're trying to sell in that one. Thankfully, he didn't do anything on the following up penalty for the unsuccessful challenge. However, Konechny, thanks to a collision between Meyer and Burns and miscommunication or whatever you want to call it.
Brutal all around.
Yeah, I mean, Konechny gets his 22nd from Hayes. That they go to the dressing room down 3-1. Couture blocks a shot, and it's like, oh my god, could that period get any worse for the Sharks?
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? We should probably talk about this too, like Couture coming back. Because there's a lot of people there's a lot of discussion on, well, if they don't need Couture, why even bring him back? But
Mm-hmm.
like, here's the thing, right? Like these guys, they're players. If they're medically cleared, they should play. And I have a hard time believing that the Sharks would bring Couture back early to play meaningless games, especially not even at home. Like it's not even a ticket selling issue at this point because you're in Philadelphia. So, well, like if he's healthy, he has to play. That's what he does. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just tell a player who's healthy, no, you don't get to play. I understand like the sentiment of like, okay, you don't, like have him take some more time off and let him be, 100% next year. But here's the problem with that. Like, it's a contact sport. Erik, you and I can walk out the door tomorrow and get hit by a bus and it's game over. Like, if you live your life on well, what's the worst thing, if the worst happens, oh my God. Like, if no one lives like that, we would never
Right.
leave our homes. We'd probably die in our homes anyway. I mean, you live in California, your home could fall on your head in an earthquake.
I could have my
I,
pool
I'm
tank
just,
blow up in my face. I
you
mean,
could
come
have
on.
your full tank blow up in your face. I mean, it's one of those things where I understand how people want to be cautious, but like if he can go, then he should go. That's just the reality of it,
Hmm.
right? But man, I was like, because I said that start of the game, and then then he gets hit in the ankle, like, oh God, here we go. But it was one of those things. I mean, thankfully he was all right, but like, if he's perfectly healthy and takes that shot in the ankle, that's still probably gonna hurt a
Yeah,
lot,
big time.
right? Like, so I don't know. I mean, I understand the sentiment of why people would want Couture to miss a few more games, but really, if the Sharks staff say he's good, and look at the money they've got tied up in this guy, they're not trotting him out for meaningless games if he's not good to go.
No,
Period.
no, and like Rob does say, not to make a baseball analogy, but baseball is notorious for shutting down hurt players,
Hmm.
or having like a limitation on a pitcher. I think I remember like Washington had like on Strasburg, and they were in the middle of a pennant race, and they shut him down.
Yep.
I mean, if things are out of hand and he's hurting, then there's no
There's no reason to play him if he's not 100%. But I mean, there's a lot of just like speculation. Well, what if this and this? And like, for what we know, it's a bone. It was a bone break.
Yeah,
Bone heals, play. Like, it's not a muscle. It's not it's not a tendon or a muscle where, it's kind of iffy. Bone healed, play. Like, I don't know. To me, I understand the sentiment, but I just think it's not realistic, right?
right, right. And I it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get you want to get out there and compete, and I'm pretty sure, I think we've seen it throughout the years. Logan is one of
He's a
those
gamer
guys. Yeah, he just wants to go out and play. I
for
mean,
sure.
he doesn't want to hang out and you know just hang out with the
Watch from
boys.
the press box
Yeah,
and go on trips with the boys. No, I agree. Like,
but to see the nightmare of this second period and have that capped off by Couture, being worried. Now, granted, he comes back out in the third period, gives it a shot, had a scoring chance, and just no luck. But at the same time,
I thought
um,
he looked fine. Like, he
yeah,
didn't look like a player who, like, he maybe, like, obviously he's gonna have to get his timing back and everything, but he didn't look like, I didn't look at Couture's game and go, oh yeah, he's playing hurt. Like, I didn't get that impression.
right.
And
And
maybe it's because I don't want to be wrong, but I didn't get that impression. You guys can tell me.
no, but as we're getting comments from the locker room now, Bugner mentioning Couture's game speed is a little off, but he had good looks. The guy's played hard. It's been a tough couple of days, but we had some chances. You had plenty of chances this evening, and yeah, but of course it's Couture coming off of what he's been out for over almost 2 months, roughly. And
Yeah,
you were going to expect some rustiness, and that's the case.
sure.
But to see the miscommunication with Meyer and Burns, and that leads to a 2-on-1, and then you just there's just a lot of, I see stick wiggling a little bit more. It's like,
Oh, and Dell wasn't very good either. Like,
no, he
I
wasn't.
Dell has kind of come back to earth a little bit too, I think.
Yeah,
And which is fine. I mean, it was expected. Again, like, goalies are voodoo. They get hot, they get cold. Um, this is why, I've said all along, you can't come back with both of these guys. You can't come back with Jones and Dell and be like, well, Dell's playing good, so if he could continue playing good, that's like, you have to replace one of these guys with a more sure thing. Because I think, and not that Dell was terrible. I don't think Jones' last couple of games has been terrible
no,
either. Like, Jones has probably had the better outings, to be completely honest, the last few games.
yeah,
If we're being completely honest with ourselves, but you can't. This is why you can't come back with both these guys next year,
yeah,
because again, like, goalies get hot, goalies get cold, but you can't base your franchise's hopes for, an entire season on a hot streak, which is kind of what the Sharks did last year with Jones in the playoffs. They said, well, Jones was great in the playoffs for, for as long as he was, so we can come back with that next year and we'll be fine. And we've seen how that goes. So I think that that's why, it's why I've been really, really gun shy on being like really behind either of these guys as far as like long term.
Yeah, and like you said, they're going to have to come to a decision down the road. It's just going to be a thing, and you need guys that are here to be better. Bugner saying this on Burns. I think Burns has been a horse on this trip, but he's had some tough turnovers. That's an understatement. Other than a couple of plays, he's been real solid on the trip. Okay, and I misspoke. Yes, a month and a half because he missed 17 games.
17 games, yeah.
So,
I mean, he's Burns has played a hell of a lot of minutes. Like he's being forced to eat a lot of minutes. So I think from that perspective, yeah. Look, I mean, Brent Burns hasn't had a great season. Period. I mean, he's definitely one of the guys you need more from on a night to night basis. And eating a lot of minutes is good, and I'm not going to take that away from him. But there's been a lot of plays that have gone off his stick and into the back of the net.
And tough to see all the ones, including the one that Hayes, just picks up and buries it, and it just trickles in. Vlasic tried to pull it back, but too late for that one. That made it 4-1. It wasn't until 7 minutes into the period that the Sharks get a shot on goal, and then Noah Gregor with a nice one-timer to get his second on the year. Noah giving some hope to some of the kids that are getting their opportunities.
Noah Gregor is a guy who, in my opinion, should have been playing a lot more this year. You could have played him over Melker. You could have definitely played him over Sorensen. I think Sorensen. I think of players that have gotten just an insane amount of leash. Marcus Sorensen's a guy who's been given just an insane amount of leash, and I just think that you probably could have better used that time on some of these kids. And Noah Gregor, I think, like I've liked a lot of what I've seen from Noah Gregor in the times that he's been up. He's a guy I wish that they would have played more, because I think he would have benefited from it more than one of those guys. So
yeah, absolutely. So with that, we hear Brody is off the air. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live and interactive Sharks post-game show. Do us a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Wait, where'd you go? There we go. Hit that subscribe button down below on the thing. We are almost at 2,000. Please, we'd love to get to 2K before the season ends, and we deserve it. I think, especially Ian.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Couture with the comments. I'd wish I'd be playing better, but I'm okay. I still haven't gotten real practice. It's been a rough couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he looked fine. Yeah. Like again, I understand the sentiment of well, just keep him out longer, but then like, where does that end? Like, this is a situation to me where it's like, it's a bad trend to start, right? You want to see teams that just tank, just completely bubble wrap their star players. Do you want to? Should we take Timo Meier out of the lineup just in case something bad happens? Like again, I don't not leave my house because something bad could happen. You live life. You do what you're supposed to do. I
absolutely
go to work. I do my shift. These guys are the same, man. It is what it is.
You get pucks in deep and you get into the corner. You chase after it and do your right thing. That's what I would say for sure. So let's get to the what the heck call of the night. It seems like we're getting these all along. Noah Gregor, looks like it's shoulder on shoulder contact. Now, like you said on Twitter, and I agree with you, it was a blindside hit.
It was a blindside hit. It's a hit that is, here's the problem, right? And I'm going to be very on brand here, because I'm going to say it's a fast game and we get to see things from multiple angles and replay and everything else. I think it's a hard game to officiate. I don't know. I didn't look at what angle the refs were looking at it from. That hit if he does make contact, like he did make contact with the head, but that is the kind of hit that makes contact with the head, and
Mhm.
like those are the kind of hits you want to get rid of when they. Now this one didn't, and I can't say that did the ref blow the call? Yeah, clearly the ref blew the call. I mean they evened it up for reasons, because they obviously they weren't thing, but I checked to the head call, like that's just call it roughing then, or or
Yeah.
something, charging,
No,
I don't know, call
totally.
it not a check to the head if you're not sure. Like I don't know why they couldn't have conferenced or whatever and been like, hey, that wasn't a head hit, really, there was nothing wrong with that hit. But they evened it up to try and cover their own butts. I mean, these things are nebulous, and it seems like they can conference and take a penalty away, and then sometimes they'll say, oh well, that's not revealed, we can't change that. So and that's, I'm sure, what we'll hear. It was a bad call, but I mean, it's easy for me to say when, the angle that I get to watch it from is perfect. I don't know what ref, I don't know the angle the ref saw it at. It's a fast game and a lot happens in real time. I'm sure it's a lot more difficult,
Hmm.
from a different angle. Maybe that looked like a headshot. And that is, again, if there was head contact there, that is a hit that you really, really want to get out of the game. So I think they try to play it safe with the blind side, but I mean, look at supplemental discipline's not gonna do it. So I guess the refs maybe
Trying to do it
they
themselves.
they try
But
and do it themselves maybe because because man, supplemental discipline in this league is a joke.
well, and so I'll ask you this because
Mhm.
knowing the Sharks luck this year, does that get a fine? Does that get a suspension?
No, does that get us, like, if it was a head hit, or
No,
right
no,
now
no.
is
I'm
like,
saying right
oh,
now.
right, no, it's a clean hockey hit. Anyone, when you get the chance to look at it and review the play and see it on replay from four angles and in super slow mo, it's clear that's not it. There's gonna be no supplemental discipline
Hey,
there. There shouldn't be. It's
hey,
a clean hit.
I know, but I've seen stranger things happen. I just, you just never
Yeah,
know. It just seems like these days, unfortunately, it's like I should break out a wheel and let's just spin and see what we'll get. So
there's nothing to see there though. Like you can't find that and then not find Jamie Benn, or was
yeah,
it
but
Jamie Benn that
no,
got
it's
hit?
Jamie
I don't
Benn
know.
that took the hit on or that gave the hit to Oliver Ekman Larson and got
Right. Yes.
nothing, which is
Got
just the
nothing. You,
most.
you can't. Yeah, I mean, this is a hockey hit. I mean, they can.
That
That's the end of that.
and that's the most asinine thing I saw is that didn't get a fine or anything, which is ridiculous. But I digress. So the Sharks lose this one 4-2. Philly coming in had a plus 24 goal differential in the third period, second only to Washington. I believe, if my math is correct, this is the second time in 12 outings that the Flyers beat the Sharks on Philly ice. So in face-off wise, this team, the Sharks, did not do well in that one. Uh, the
Well, you have no centers.
We have no centers. We have no wings.
I
We have
mean,
nothing. Oh my god.
like the Flyers had a hell of a lot more to play for this game than the Sharks did, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're in the heat of a pretty tight metropolitan race. Flyers, actually, you know what? I'll say this about the Flyers for a team that I've watched for a while. Like, it looks like they're finally, like, this team's been kind of rebuilding for a while, and they're not, I don't think they're like a cup contender, but they're right there, like they're at that corner. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn, because this is a team that has probably been garbage for a little bit longer than it should have been,
Mm-hmm.
considering some of the players and picks they picked up. Um, but yeah, no, this is a team that maybe if they're in the Metro, they're in better shape too, right? Because the
Right.
Metro, I think, is pretty tough. But yeah, that's a team that's right there on the corner.
They're right there. They're almost there. But the East is going to be so interesting. It's going to be
Mhm.
real interesting to see.
So there's a couple of questions here
Yeah,
I can
let's get
ask
to
here.
them.
All right.
Cheryl, our good friend Cheryl, in
Mhm.
whatever, she's so glad to see Ian tonight. I'm just kidding, Cheryl. Thoughts on the Jumbo no trade? Wrong teams interested? Price too high? Maybe they were offering. the teams were offering not enough for Jembo?
I would be curious to find out, to be a fly on the wall with what happened with Dallas. Because Dallas was apparently in and then they were out. So I can't really. It's hard, right? Because I think like maybe, because the talk right now is that the teams that he thought truly had a chance, like maybe those teams didn't call. So maybe like a Boston didn't call at all, right?
Right.
Teams that are theoretically super in, right? Other teams did, went for did other things, right? Like obviously the Penguins weren't going to grab both Marlowe and Thornton. That's just silly.
Wishful thinking.
They grabbed Marlowe. There's a couple other teams that did some other things. And so I wonder if it's a case of where it's like obviously the one really head shaking team from yesterday was Buffalo. Because like 6 points out and just, and went out and just blew some assets on Wayne Simmons. And I'm not sure like I like you know what I mean? Like I know there's obviously contenders and stuff, but you would just think that if you're, and again, I don't know, I'm not in the room, but I just think that if I'm Joe Thornton and if that's really what I want to do, like any team, like we've seen stranger things, like especially last year. Remember last year, all the upsets?
Yeah. No.
Right?
Anytime.
Like, and so I wonder if, like a team called that maybe he just didn't think was a good enough, that wasn't good enough. Right? And he just thought maybe, and that's partial on him. I can't imagine Doug Wilson being like, no, I'm not going to get the return I want, so I'm not going to do it. Like, I really feel like if there was a team out there that was a playoff bound, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think that obviously I'm going to take what I've read on the internet at face value and say that the teams that he was interested in going to didn't call. And some of the teams that did call didn't want him or that he didn't want to go. I can't. I don't know. It's perplexing. Like, and I wish that I would have I wish I could be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we've heard a lot of things. AJ found this on The Athletic, which he copied onto his post on tealtownusa.com about how, Star CEO Jim Lights was saying, about Joe Thornton once before. And this was like around the year that the Sharks had missed the playoffs 5 years ago. The only guy that ever turned us down and enforced its no trade is Joe Thornton because he wasn't going anywhere. He had his deal. His kids were young. He loved his house. He wasn't going anywhere. He got into an FU argument with the GM there, Lights added. Before we acquired Spezza, the same offer had been made to San Jose for Joe Thornton. It was accepted, but Joe wasn't making it happen.
Right. I mean, and that's his right. I mean, I know, some people would be like, and Spezza obviously maybe they wanted him longer term, right? Because I think Spezza got traded and like signed an extension pretty quickly, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I wonder if, maybe he wanted to go as a rental, but he wasn't interested in going as a long-term piece there because he did like it in San Jose and he thought that San Jose could turn it around or whatever. And he's happy. And look, I mean, that's why you become a veteran and that's why you have a no move clause so you can play where you want to play.
Yep.
I don't begrudge him for that. Does that play a factor? Who knows? I mean, you'd think that, it's all business, right?
Right.
There's a couple other questions here I want to get to. I gotta scroll up here. So JF Turner said, Ian Blogs Hockey, your thoughts on the Goodrow trade and how do you think Doug Wilson will use that first round draft? Oh, okay, well, he'll probably trade it, won't he? No. I thought it was really good. Like when it was this, I was really hesitant to really go all in on it because it was like, the initial was just Goodrow for a first, which on the surface sounds fantastic. But then you look at cap friendly and you saw the 50-50 and, you saw that they had to move a body around. So obviously there was more to it. I think I'm not as ecstatic about this trade as other people are because not that the Sharks do anything with their thirds, but I thought, Goodrow and the third to get the first. I guess I see it. I guess I see it, but it just seems like, I don't know, the third kills it a little for me. It's a good trade, and I think you do it every time. But I don't think it was this World Series grand slam that it's being made out to be. It's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. Now, here's the reason why I think it's good. The Sharks kind of need players next year, and Barclay Goodrow has been a guy who I said, Barclay Goodrow is the guy that people think Melko Karlsson is. Barclay Goodrow has also kind of done everything you've asked of him this year. He's gone up in the top six. He's played well. He's played in the bottom six. He's played well. He's kind of been a utility guy that you could kind of slot anywhere. And you don't have a lot of guys that can do that. Like, who is going to be, and we don't know what's going to happen in the offseason, what moves are going to get made, roster, whatever. But if, Barclay Goodrow is probably a guy you want next year. So I think that's why it's a good trade. I think the value is never going to be higher for Barclay Goodrow. Let's be honest. Like, you were never going to get a better return for him. But I thought, Kuhre's made some really salient points on Twitter after the trade, because Barclay Goodrow's a guy who has pretty much done everything you've asked of him, and you get it for under $1 million, and you could have had it for under $1 million next year too. My concern is that you're going to go and pay $2 million for a guy to do what Barclay Goodrow could have done for $1 million, less than $1 million. That's my concern. So I think it was a good trade. I don't think it was a great trade, but it was good. I think, Godspeed, good luck in Tampa. I love the guy. I mean, that was a guy who I said many times this year, Barclay Goodrow's your best player when he shouldn't be your best player. Value is never going to be higher. Good trade, not a great trade in my opinion, because of those reasons.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, like, I think when we first came on, me and AJ were thinking Goodrow for a first straight up, like, wow, that's actually really good. But the think, and I said this as well, to think that you had to throw in a third, and of course he had to get a contract back because
he had the contract back because they were at the limit, right?
But at the same time, it's like, why do we need to throw in a third?
Well, Barclay Goodrow on his own shouldn't get you a first. Like, Tampa overpaid a little bit. I mean, the third makes it I think it makes it a little more palatable for Tampa, but Tampa's done some really funny things with their first round picks this trade deadline. They've grabbed a couple of. Look at, again, I'm not trying to take a dump on Barclay Goodrow, because Barclay Goodrow's a guy that I really like. But Barclay Goodrow shouldn't get you a first. Neither should Blake Coleman.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't.
Like, these guys are role players. They shouldn't. These are not the guys you should be parting with first round picks for. So I scratch my head a little at Tampa. I say thank you very much if I'm a Sharks fan, and as well you should. But again, like, I'm concerned that Barclay Goodrow is a guy that you might have a hard time replacing next year when you're actually playing for something again.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that you need those players. He was signed under contract a little bit more. And the thing being, it's he was a good player. You were able to fill him in almost every spot.
Yeah.
Did Goody get moved because Milker got hurt though? AJ's mentioning that. Is that something that might have been the case?
I think, yeah. I think that could play a factor. Look, I think the Sharks, they're looking to get assets, right? Again, does I don't think Melker Karlsson gets you the same return though, because the contract's higher. I know you could eat contract too, obviously. I don't think Melker Karlsson nets you the same return as Barclay Goodrow though. I think, I honestly, like, Barclay Goodrow is a guy who I think Tampa's smart to go. I think Tampa, like, I don't like the return if I'm Tampa, like what you gave up rather, but Barclay Goodrow is a guy that, I think it was a shrewd player for teams to target for sure. Yeah. Because you got the Sharks selling, and, you want to pick up some assets, and you want to, move on some players, but for a team that's supposed to turn this around really quickly and be in contention next year. And again, I'm not saying Barclay Goodrow is like the best player in the entire universe, but he's a guy who has done more than a lot of other guys have done this year that have been expected to come in, right? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Rob Iman kind of asking that same point. Now, you mentioned, they're supposed to get back in contention this year, but he's saying, are the Sharks looking more to 21-22 with these trades?
I don't think so, because again, look at everyone else they moved. Marlowe, who knows? Marlowe could come back in the offseason if they
Right.
really want him. Brendan Dillon was gone. Like that was just reality. Brendan Dillon, unless like Brendan Dillon's probably going to get paid this offseason,
Big time.
and the Sharks can't put any more money on that blue line. Like you look at the forward depth, and you can't add another contract to that blue line. Brendan Dillon like is it wasn't going to work. So maybe he doesn't get the payday he wants, and maybe he comes back as like a lesser contract, but I don't see it. I think that'd be incredibly wishful thinking.
Yeah. No, you're definitely going to have a different looking blue line next season. I
Yeah.
mean, Shimmick's probably signed.
Yeah, I mean, like he's not going to cost you anything. Like, and I've been of that opinion the whole time, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, he's not going to cost you anything. I still think, but he's not. I think Shimmick, you probably like you don't have to bring Shimmick back either. You can go and explore other options. Like, I don't think he's a surefire guy. Like you have to bring Shimmick back. I think you can explore other options. And if you don't like what you see out there, then you can bring Shimmick back for sure. But I don't think he's not like, I don't think he's not the linchpin of this operation that he was made out to be when he returned. And, and it was like, and I'm not saying he didn't play a factor in the Sharks getting better when he got back, but you know, it's, it's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting offseason for the Sharks because they've got a lot of things they need to address and they don't have a lot of space to do it with. Because that's the thing, right? Like, if you look at, a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is clearly like the trades for rebuilding team. Well, they didn't really trade any contracts. Like they traded expiring contracts with the exception of Goodrow.
Yeah. Hot Wheels 84 first PK without Goody and they give up a goal. Coincidence?
Well, I mean, the whole thing just looked disjointed. I think you're going to have those kind of adjustments when you have to remake your penalty kill units.
Yeah, and let's be real here. Everything's got mumbled, jumbled up, and the last minute change with Couture coming in probably changed things as well.
For sure.
Proud Hederick, I think, and this one's, I think, a simple question for you. Why the F would the Sharks trade Goodrow when he's been one of their best players this year? Because you can get
because you're never going to get that. Barclay Goodrow, if you're being honest, shouldn't get you more. Like getting a second, you should be ecstatic for Barclay Goodrow. Right. Like you should be ecstatic with a second. To get a first, you do it. Like. I who knows what Doug Wilson does with that pick. It's a deep draft, so hopefully he takes it and drafts with it. And maybe Tampa, I guess Stamkos went out tonight, so maybe they get bounced first round and it's a better pick than we think it's.
If Tampa goes out in the first round, that's a huge.
That's a huge win that's a win in my opinion. Like at that point, if Tampa goes on a long run, which which they could do as well. I mean, then it's whatever. But if Tampa, unfortunately hits a team that bounces them in the first round again, that pick becomes a decent pick with you consider the draft.
Yeah. And we'll get to where Tampa is in just a little bit. We'll finish up with this, a couple of things. Is Middleton a serviceable bottom six guy, or should the Sharks go after somebody else that they don't have either with the Kuhre or in the development system? Because I mean, Middleton's a lefty, Merkley's a righty, and I don't think he's going to be with the Sharks next year.
I think that Middleton's a guy who they're going to have to make a decision on. I thought he played a good game tonight. Like I thought, but again, one good game isn't a good career make.
Right.
Middleton's a guy that's been around long enough though that they really need to decide what they're doing with him and what they're going to, I think he's he could be a serviceable bottom pair guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd have to, but time will tell. He could be. I'm not going to go out and boldly say, Middleton's this guy that, is a lock for the team next year. I think he's definitely in the conversation. And I think with the money he makes, that's the kind of guy you want playing in your bottom six.
Yeah. Yeah. And to kind of piggyback on the Tampa thing, if they go on the first round, that's probably, late teens, early 20s pick. That'd be huge. That's probably if the Sharks are keen on somebody in the draft, they aren't giving up one of their second round picks or that third round pick they might be getting, with all the trades they made to move
Right.
down the draft. So
Yeah, I mean it's one of those situations too where, but I mean it is a deeper draft. So you could also see if Tampa moves, if Tampa does, they might load up and they might move that pick and pick up some more picks and move back because it is a deeper draft. You
yeah,
wouldn't want to see that, but entirely possible. Why didn't we go after Robin Leonard? Well, why would you go after Robin Leonard right now? The problem is that Robin Leonard, I believe, is a pure rental at this point.
yeah,
So it doesn't make sense to bring in Leonard to get assets to bring in Leonard to possibly have him leave as a free agent anyway.
hmm
I think Robin Leonard is a guy that you would definitely circle back this summer if you can make the money work. I don't know. It depends what you do with Jones. Obviously, that's the big factor, right?
yeah, and
Depends what you do with Jones. But to go after Leonard now, you're just wasting assets for nothing. The Sharks aren't playing for anything for the rest of the season, so you might as well play with the string with Dell and Jones. Hopefully, you can maybe remedy something with Jones, or Dell can get a little hot again. But really, going after Leonard now would make no sense. You would spend a lot of assets for nothing, really, because he could just leave as a free agent
hmm
when if you don't decide what to do with Jones. So
yeah,
it is what it is. If they're gonna make a move on a goalie, they should do it in the summer. I'm not surprised Dell didn't move. I saw this asked in the chat and I didn't get to it. I'm not shocked Dell didn't move. Goalies generally don't move around very often, and they don't do it for, like, Vegas needed
Vegas
an
needed a
insurance.
backup,
They needed insurance. I thought Carolina might make a run at a goalie.
right?
I thought maybe Aaron Dell might, get some interest from the Hurricanes, but I'm not shocked. I don't think the return for Dell would have been as good as people think it would be because, even with Carolina, like, they're probably getting one of their goalies back before the playoffs. That's what that tells me, that they didn't do anything.
Yeah,
So,
that they're not too
uh,
worried about their
yeah,
injuries for sure.
yeah, goalies generally just don't get the return that you would expect them to unless you have a team really over the barrel. And I think Vegas was kind of in that boat.
Yeah, and Cheryl saying one of the Rangers spare goalies. Well,
Oh, but that was the problem. So the Rangers, Igor Shesterkin and
thank you for saying it right.
Buchnevich,
Yeah, they were in a car
they
accident.
were in a car accident. Shesterkin has a broken rib, so he'll probably back by the end of the season. But
Mhm.
you're just gonna play. You're gonna just play Lundqvist and Georgiev until then.
Yeah,
I think that's the reason why that New York wasn't going to make a move there with Shesterkin getting injured.
yeah, yeah. And so that's where Lundqvist comes into play. Otherwise, yeah, maybe they do make a move at the deadline or something if they want to move Georgiev, or Lundqvist says, all right, I'll go. But I couldn't see Henrik going anywhere. So
Yeah.
with that,
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
all right, let's quickly run through these. Devils win 4-1 over the Red Wings. It is 5-5 right now between the Blues and the Blackhawks. Yeah, crazy game out in St. Louis. Predators lead 3-2 on the Sens. Thomas Chabot with the goal there. Minnesota beating the Blue Jackets 5-3. That's a big blow for the Blue Jackets. They are struggling mightily. Mikko Koivu with a pair of goals with that one. It is tied 1-1 between the Panthers and Coyotes. 1-0 Ducks over the Oilers. That's early in the first. Milano with the goal there. The Flames beat the Bruins 5-2. Wow. That's an interesting one there. Vancouver beats Montreal in overtime. Tyler Toffoli with his 21st in the game-winning goal in OT for that one. Shea Weber, I can't. He is not human. The big one tonight, Barclay Goodrow makes his debut with the Tampa Bay Lightning, wearing number 19. 4-3 the final there in the inter squad scrimmage for the Toronto Bay Maple Leafs.
Oof.
John Tavares with a pair of goals. William Nylander definitely getting a crown this week. That one, and the Rangers beat the Islanders on the island in overtime. Panarin does it again. Zibanejad with the OT winner there. And let's see, Jets and Capitals. The Capitals win it in a shootout 4-3. Ovechkin with another goal at 7:01, if I'm not mistaken. Dallas wins 4-1 in that one. Sagan, Hintz, Dickinson, Gurionov with that one, and the Hurricanes lose that. That is your update. Sorry. Okay, we'll move on. So let's move on to Thursday night and the Devils. Ian, what do you say?
It's rough. I don't know, man. That game, the last game was really boring. Like, the one thing I can say about this game for most of it was actually an entertaining game to watch. The last game they played against the Devils wasn't. It was very frustrating to watch that game. Just from an enjoyment standpoint. Hopefully they can put on a decent game in front of their home fans, but yeah, man, I don't know. This hard. This team's just hard now.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely, and it's gonna be AJ's never been more writer. Got it. All right. Well, in case you missed anything,
Ooh, Barracuda.
No, we already saw the Barracuda play tonight. They lost to the Flyers. If you missed anything and you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher with Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio as well. So with that, we'll close this up. Ian, your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts. I mean, like I said, I'm setting the over-under at 5, so you can take the over or the under. But obviously, I think if you're going to pick a game to, that maybe the Devils. Maybe the Devils, the game you can go and get some points in. Other than that, I mean, it is what it is. The Shark season is what it is at this point. We all know the score. So obviously what I'm looking forward to now is just hoping that, you get some of these kids in and they do some good things and give you a small squishy feeling inside. That gives you a little bit of hope for next year, because that's really all you have right now. But other than that, you can find me at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine, and that is that.
I'm afraid of any type of small squishy feeling you're talking about. No. All right. I'm at PuckGuy14 if you need to rant at me or anything of that matter, because why not? We'll be back with you Thursday night in stealth mode as the Sharks take on the Devils on the 29th. Patrick Marleau's return. There's also the San Jose Game Worn Hockey Expo that's happening in right near the tank by Poorhouse Bistro. Tons of Game Worn jersey collections and all that stuff.
Do the tankathon.
You want me to do the tankathon?
All right. Yes.
All right. Ian wants me to do the tankathon. Let me get this all set up. Here we go, folks. We're doing the tankathon. All right. Can I move this out of the way? Yes. All right. Let's do the sim lottery. Shark. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. The Sharks entered as the 4th worst team in the league, and
this is going to be my face.
Hang on, let me show it. Yeah. No. I know. Yep. All right. With that, the conversation continues on Discord. Make sure you follow us on the social media and on the YouTube. Hit that subscribe button as always. Again, we'll be back with you on Thursday following Sharks and Devils. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a good night, everyone. We will see you Thursday. Oh, it had to be number 1.